This is a gross episode.
This
This is
is
a really
it's a
gross episode.
gross episode, yeah.
Welcome to Electric Enthusiasm, the podcast where we celebrate unironic enthusiasm. I'm a little sister. I think that's relevant to today's theme. I'm not sure, but I think me being a little sister is relevant. And my name is Katie.
It is very relevant. That's amazing.
Ha!
I was sure I'd gotten you with this one, that this for once would be a topic you knew nothing about, but you actually know something.
I know a
I'm
little
kind of
bit.
bummed now. Yeah. And I'm Alexander. In our Dune episode, I outed myself as a nerd. I'm gonna out myself even more, this time as a gamer.
Yeah!
Yeah!
All right, gamer bro. How does this work?
Oh, it's super simple. In each episode, one of us presents a topic that they love, but that the other host knows little or nothing about, and tries their hardest to spread that enthusiasm to the other host and to you, the listener. Sometimes we have guests on who are super excited about something that we know nearly nothing about.
And then we have the moment of meta, where we nerd out about enthusiasm itself and talk about why it matters and how you could live a more enthusiastic life.
Because enthusiasm is important and the world needs more of it. And you should share yours. If there's something you're enthusiastic about, go on our website, electricenthusiasm.com, or our Instagram @electricenthusiasm, and tell us all about it. You could even plain old send us an email at hello@electricenthusiasm.com.
Yeah!
Yeah. So in this episode, our topic is Bioshock. And I was sure I'd get you on this one that you'd know nothing, but you do know something. What do you know about Bioshock, Katie?
So, have you heard of an Australian video game reviewer called Zero Punctuation?
Yes.
I love Zero Punctuation, and I watched all of his videos, and they weren't even available on YouTube. I had to go to theescapist.com to watch the videos. This is back when I was a teenager. I like video games. I'm terrible at them, but I enjoy them. For example, my favorite game ever is Super Mario Galaxy. Also in Super Mario Odyssey, they also have this, what I call the little sister function, where you can be a player too that has no negative impact on the game, right? In Super Mario Galaxy, you're like the little star character and you can fly around, you can help, but you cannot hinder. Same thing in Super Mario Odyssey, you could be the hat, you can help, but you can't fuck the game up for your big brother when he's playing, and so he just get mad at you. So
Ah.
I like video games. I'm not very good at them. I like playing as that style of character, which I know exists in some Nintendo universes. Um, but because of that, I used to watch Zero Punctuation all the time. So I know that Bioshock is a video game.
Mm-hmm.
There's a mecha suit thing. There's a character called Little Sister.
Yeah.
And then I know it's a good game, is what and the graphics are good, I think.
You're insulting me now. It's the best game. No, it's a very, 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 very good game. It's amazing. And not just as
Yeah.
a game, but also for its themes and its philosophy. And we're going to talk a lot about that. Yeah. I would
Exciting.
also say that if you expect the little sisters in this game to be fun and helpful, and it's not that at all. It's one of the most gruesome things I've seen in any video game.
Maybe we could rename that helper characters like the younger sibling character, because that's what it
Yeah.
is. It feels like it's allowing the Luigis of the world to join in and not piss off their older siblings. Because really, I just wanted to participate in a way that I wouldn't get yelled at. That was it.
Yes. Yes. Fantastic. The other trick is just handing your younger sibling an unconnected controller and let them in,
Cruelty.
imagine that they're, yeah.
True cruelty. Also, I'm gonna fight you because the best video game in the world is Super Smash Bros. And I will fight you on that. And I will fight you in Super Smash Bros. And I will win.
I have played it. I played it once against my 9-year-old nephew, and I got my ass handed to me.
It's, in my opinion, the greatest game of all time. And it
Okay.
has
Okay.
followed
Okay.
me throughout my entire life, and I love it. And we're clearly outing ourselves as mega nerds and gamers, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about Bioshock.
Yes.
We like to start with facts first. So, what exactly should a person know about Bioshock?
It is as you say, a computer game. It's a first-person shooter that came out in 2007. So that's 15 years ago. This game is
Whoa.
ancient. Yeah. And it's so good. It is so
Hang
good. It
on.
became
Hold on. I need to process the fact that 2007 was 15 years ago. What? I'm sorry. That was
No,
maybe 5 years ago tops. What
I
are you talking
know,
about?
right? I know, right?
Terrifying.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah.
okay, cool.
Anyways, yeah.
Came up 15 years ago.
Yeah, 15 years ago. And it became a major milestone in computer games history and is universally celebrated as one of the best games ever. I like the Los Angeles Times reviewer who said, "Sure, it's fun to play and looks spectacular, but it also does something no other game has done to date. It really makes you feel." The New York Times called it intelligent, gorgeous, occasionally frightening, and said that it has a provocative, morality based storyline, sumptuous art direction, and superb voice acting.
Hmm.
Yeah, it won a ton of awards: Game of the Year, Best Original Score, Best Story, Best Sound, yada, yada, yada. Was it the first game to make you feel? I don't know. When I played Super Smash Brothers against my nephew, I felt a lot of emotions like frustration and shame and why do I suck so badly at this?
I did feel like a complete rock star when I played Guitar Hero, so I definitely had feelings.
Yeah,
Feelings happen.
feelings happen. Exactly. There are various ways a computer game can be good. Super Smash Brothers is a lot of fun. This
Mm,
game is deep. I don't think you'd call
mm.
Super Smash Brothers deep, and it has one hell of a story. Um, I have played Bioshock a lot. I bought it on Steam, this online store where you can buy your computer games, and it'll actually track every time you play the game so you know how much you've played it. And I can tell you, I've played Bioshock for 236 hours.
Wow. It's so
Yeah.
hang on. Is that like is there a main narrative storyline that you can complete in the game? And then have you just gone back and done the storyline multiple times?
Yes, I have, because it's that good. I can still go back, be a part of this world, and replay it because it is so good and the story is so deep and so interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think the only game I've come back to that many times is probably Pokemon.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, cause like, a childhood game. It was like I grew up with it.
Never tried it. Never tried it. Now, I know that a lot of people don't play video games, so I'm going to try to make this discussion today interesting also for those who don't play, will never play, because we're not just going to talk about the game. We're also going to talk about some of the themes of the game. There is morality, there is philosophy, there is free will, and we're going to talk about art, because Roger Ebert, the film critic, at one point said that no video game can ever be art.
Uh, well, I call lies. No.
Yeah. I think it's a very arrogant statement. But at the end of this, I want to have a discussion with you, basically.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think this is art? And
Yes.
why do some people insist that it should not be called art?
I have many feelings about that.
I would imagine you did. I will say that one of the most amazing things about Bioshock is that about two-thirds of the way through the game, there is a major, major plot twist, like a huge reveal. I'm,
Mhm.
I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it now. It's that good. It's one of the best reveals, one of the best twists I've seen in any story in any medium, novels, comic books.
Will we be spoiling anything in
Yeah,
this
and we will,
episode?
and we will be spoiling that completely.
Excellent.
The game will still be great, even if you know this reveal. But if you want to go in completely unknowing of this major twist, play the game first, then come back and listen. But
Yes.
again, the game is 15 years old. Everybody knows this by now.
Unless you're like me and you only have surface level knowledge of Bioshock.
Yes.
I know there's a character called Little Sister, and I think there's one called something Daddy, like
The Big Daddy.
Big Daddy. Is
Yeah.
he the bubble suit guy, the mecha
E-
tyke?
exactly. He's basically in an old timey diving suit. But instead of one hand, he's got a huge drill that he can use to drill through people. Yeah.
Dope.
Yeah, it's one of the most terrifying enemies in a computer game. So I want to talk about 5 things that make this game amazing. And I want to start with the aesthetics, because this game is gorgeous.
Mm.
And I want to show you how gorgeous it is by giving you a video of the game's intro. You're smoking a cigarette on a plane because it's 1960. The plane crashes in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. You're swimming around in the water. You're the only survivor. You see the wreckage of the plane sinking into the water. And then the only other thing you see is kind of a lighthouse looking thing.
Uh-huh.
So you swim to that lighthouse, you go in through the door, you go down the stairs, you enter this bathysphere, a little submarine type thingy. You pull a lever and it automatically takes you under the water and towards something that you're going to see. I'm going to put that link in the script right here. So click on that and tell me what you see.
Alright. 3, 2, 1, play. I see a tower with a big light.
Uh-huh.
That's a lighthouse, I imagine.
Yeah.
The atmosphere is very steampunky. We're going up some very beautiful stone steps, very art deco, massive doors. It's dark inside. Is something gonna jump at me? Is something gonna jump at me?
No,
Alex.
no, 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 nothing.
I see a giant statue holding a banner saying, "No gods or king, only man.
Uh-huh.
Gods for kings, only man." The aesthetic is beautiful. It's very
Yes.
Art Deco. It's like this dark dungeon with lights popping up with gold decor. Fire at your fingertips. There's an
Mhm.
advert. I'm watching an advert.
Yeah.
A vintage advert for cigarettes. Woo! Oh, he's got a transatlantic accent.
I am Andrew Ryan, and I'm here to ask you a question. Is a man not entitled to the sweat of his brow? No, says the man in Washington, it belongs to the poor. No, says the man in the Vatican, it belongs to God. No, says the man in Moscow, it belongs to everyone. I rejected those answers. Instead, I chose something different. I chose the impossible. I chose rapture.
Whoa! Unexpected underwater city, y'all. Lights coming down here. How? What?
Yes. First of all, you nailed it with the Art Deco. Art
Mm-mm-mm.
Deco is the main design influence on the entire game, which is set in the underwater city of Rapture. As you got into the submarine, the screen came up and showed you a little movie, and
Yep.
you heard the voice of Andrew Ryan,
Mm-hmm.
who founded this city, Rapture, underwater. It's beautiful, right?
Also, like the little details. So I hit pause, and I can see the sign for Fleet Hall, and it says
Hmm.
Andrew Ryan presents the Kickettes, 2 weeks only. Clearly referencing the Rockettes.
Yes.
That's so good. Like the little details like that. Very cool.
Yeah. And the design is so good. The architecture, the neon signs that you saw, the posters, even the fonts,
Yeah.
the technology and the machines that you see are just perfectly designed, so beautiful. And then even the music, there is a lot of jazz music playing. One of the major fight scenes takes place to by Mia Shane,
Hey. Classic swing jazz song.
classic song. In the materials, we're going to link to a video of two architects basically reacting to what they're seeing and
Cool.
pointing out all the Art Deco elements to this game. It is gorgeous.
I am excited to see that video because I love it when experts. It's that enthusiasm. It's one of the enthusiasms. It's so fun to listen to experts who are passionate about something just talk about it. I know fuck all about architecture, but I'm hyped to watch that video.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So that's one reason is the aesthetics. Another thing I like about the game is that it is a huge critique of libertarianism,
Hmm.
of anarcho-capitalism. The voice you heard in the intro, that was Andrew Ryan, who is the founder of Rapture. And Andrew Ryan is basically an anagram for Ayn Rand.
Oh, that's fabulous.
Yeah, so you know who Ayn Rand is, right?
Yes.
Yes. For those who don't, she was a Russian-born American writer who wrote two terribly bad books, The
Yes.
Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged.
And they keep getting quoted in American politics.
Yes.
They just let it die, guys. Let it die.
Yeah. And not only do they get quoted, one of the worst congressmen in the US is called Rand Paul. He's the son of
Yeah.
Ron Paul. Do you know why he's called Rand Paul?
Is he named after Ayn Rand?
Oh, yeah.
And I
Oh,
bet he
yeah.
says something like, "Oh yeah, my favorite book is The Fountainhead," and he doesn't
Yeah,
realize how douchey that makes him sound.
absolutely. Oh, he absolutely does. Rand Paul used to be one of the dumbest and worst congressmen. Of course, he's now been replaced as the dumbest one by Marjorie Taylor Greene. Have you heard
Yeah.
about her at all? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you hear about her latest, a soup-related little snafu?
No, what happened this time?
She was talking about how terrible the Democrats are, and she wanted to say Nancy Pelosi's Gestapo police, and she repeatedly called it Nancy Pelosi's Gazpacho
Yeah.
police.
Well, Nancy Pelosi's gazpacho recipe is exceptional, and I understand that she has a lot of opinions about chilled tomato soups.
Exactly, exactly, and she's not afraid to say it, no matter what
No,
people think. Yeah,
no.
yeah. So in Ayn Rand's book Atlas Shrugged, the hero, this libertarian god, John Galt, gets fed up with bureaucratic society. There are too many rules stifling the expression of the free, intelligent man. And so he goes Galt. He founds a new city called Galt's Gulch for the smart, the creative, the rich, the powerful, where they can just go and be themselves. That's essentially what Andrew Ryan has done. You figure out, yeah.
Oh,
So
interesting.
yeah, so he became fed up with paying taxes and founding other people's schools and that kind of thing, and all the rules. So he created this underwater city called Rapture, where the great would not be constrained by the weak, where the artist would not be constrained by the censor, that kind of thing. It's supposed to be this anarcho-capitalist utopia, and of course,
Yeah.
it immediately goes to shit.
What? Why would that happen?
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy.
And the thing is, that game is actually a very effective critique of anarcho-capitalism and what that would look like and how
Mm,
bad that would be. Let me give you some examples. For instance, there are vending machines all over the city where you can buy anything. And what happens very, very early on in Rapture's history is that people just start hacking those vending machines because then you can get
yeah.
the stuff cheaper or for free, right? At one point, Andrew Ryan is giving this speech about how that's not free enterprise. That's just terrorism and vandalism. But that's, yeah, what are you going to do? It's
Yeah.
anarcho-capitalism. People can do what they want. Another thing that happens early on in Rapture is that there's a gangster called Frank Fontaine who rises to power through very shady methods, but also builds competing enterprises to Andrew Ryan's own companies. And it's basically, yeah, people are starting to outcompete him. And then Andrew Ryan has to put in a secret police in this supposedly free society. Now he has to put in a Gazpacho police.
You gotta do it for the chill tomatoes.
Exactly. Got to keep those tomatoes in line. Yeah. But the worst thing that happens is that they discover a substance called Adam. They find it in a sea slug on the bottom of the sea next to Rapture. And Adam allows for some radical genetic engineering. The ad you saw at the beginning of the game, fire
Yeah.
at your fingertips, yeah,
Yes.
that's for a plasmid called Incinerate that will allow you to shoot fire from your hands.
Dope. I thought it was a
Yeah.
cigarette ad. Okay,
It
cool.
if the person is lighting a cigarette in the ad,
Yeah.
because what else are you gonna do with fire at your fingertips, right? There are other plasmids based on this atom that allow you to shoot electricity from your fingers, to freeze stuff. You can shoot swarms of bees. Yeah.
Where did the
Pretty
bees
cool.
come from?
Very good question. Let's not. You're underwater. Of course, there are bees. Where
I'm
else?
like, well, you're underwater. Where's the fire come from? Does this all get unveiled as you go through the story, or is this like the aftermath of what I'm assuming is a downfall of society?
Yes, you come in basically in a post-apocalyptic rapture.
Hmm.
Everything has gone to shit. What
Hmm.
happened was that people tried all these plasmids, and of course, it does not go well.
Really? I'm shocked. Shocked to my core.
Yeah, Andrew Ryan at one point considers restricting access to these genetic modifications, and he's like, "No, this is just a few initial hiccups. The market will make sure that everything comes out fine." Of course, it doesn't.
Gross.
People become addicted to genetic engineering, this gene splicing. They go crazy and they start attacking each other and everybody else, and they devolve into these monsters called splicers that are still human, kind of, but deformed and completely insane and attack everybody, including you as soon as you arrive in the city.
I did just Google Andrew Ryan to get a visual for this character.
Hmm.
He looks like Vincent Price. He
Yes,
had a little pencil mustache, slick back hair, capitalistic white guy thing. Yeah, I can totally see how this is the big bad.
yes, and Vincent Price was a direct design influence on
Hmm.
Andrew Ryan,
Yeah.
and the Mid-Atlantic accent also well spotted there.
I love that accent. I think everyone has this as teenager where you try on personalities, you try on personas to see what fits. I did
Mhm.
try and speak in a mid-Atlantic accent for a bit because I thought that was the perfect accent for me as like a weird little international kid. I was like, this is the accent. Uh, didn't go well.
I can't see why not. For those who might not know, where is the Mid-Atlantic accent from in the world?
It's from absolutely nowhere. It's a fiction. It's
Exactly.
a made up accent. It was when Hollywood silver screen was really kicking off, and they wanted to have people sound like they were kind of from the UK, but not really, and so they made up an accent. Katharine Hepburn is a really good example of a great mid Atlantic accent.
Come around about noon tomorrow. I mean today. Snob.
You're quite a girl, aren't you?
You think?
Yeah, I know.
Thank you, Professor. I don't think I'm exceptional.
You are, then.
I know any number like me. You ought to get around more.
Uh,
Yes.
Not saying that I tried it and studied her or anything. That would be weird. Be a strange thing to do with one's time.
You think you could do one right now?
No, definitely not.
Oh, that's hilarious. We might insert a little clip of Katharine
Yes,
Hepburn speaking Mid-Atlantic.
that'd be fabulous.
Yeah,
Or even like Andrew Ryan.
we're definitely gonna put that in.
On the surface, I once bought a forest. The parasites claimed that the land belonged to God and demanded that I establish a public park there. Why? So the rebel could stand slack-jawed under the canopy and pretend that it was paradise earned. When Congress moved to nationalize my forest, I burnt it to the ground. God did not plant the seeds of this Arcadia. I did.
Okay, so a devastating critique of anarcho-capitalism, of libertarianism, run amok in this game. I think it's fantastic. Third reason why I like it is it's a good game. The gameplay is phenomenal. I mean, if the game is beautiful and the themes are fantastic and deep, but the game sucks, it's a bad game. But this game is amazing. It's a first-person shooter, so it's very violent. You also get these genetic abilities, so you can choose at different points in the game which ability you want. Do you want the ability to shoot fire or electricity or bees or whatever?
Bees? Have you ever played Cards Against Humanity?
I do.
The card that just like bees? Question
Bees.
mark. Anytime you say that, I'm just seeing that card in my mind.
Yeah. What's your favorite Cards Against Humanity answer? It's like the Trump card.
I honestly like picking up chicks at the abortion clinic. Like, I was trying to think of a less awful one, but I'm like, no, that's the only one coming to mind. Bees and picking up chicks at the abortion clinic are like my two favorite cards.
Those are great. Those are great cards.
Yours? You have to have one. You asked the question.
2 midgets shitting in a bucket.
Yeah, that's also good.
Works for any card. Guaranteed points winner right there. So you have all of these genetic abilities in the game, but you also get guns and machine guns and a shotgun and a grenade launcher, and that's great. The first weapon you get is a wrench that you can actually hit him over the head with, and you can see blood flying. It is pretty violent. Once I played it through once, I was like, this game is so great. Patricia should try it. So I sit her down, she watches the intro, she thinks that's great, and then you get to the very first splicer in the game, and you have to zap him with electricity so he's frozen for a second, and then you have to whack the devil out of him with your wrench. And Patricia just noped out right there. She got half an enemy into the game, and she's like, nope, can't do this, too violent. I'm out. She is a better and more pure person than I am.
Yeah, so I think the blocker for me is not gonna be the violence. Video game violence is fine. It's not a problem. Is it scary?
It's scary as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a chicken. I'm a chicken.
Yeah, it got me good several times along in the game. Just know that going in, but so good. And one of the fun things about the combat is that you can choose. I mean, you can go in guns blazing, and that's a lot of fun. But you can also get a little creative. Here's a fun thing: if you attack a splicer and they're nearly dead, they will run off and find the nearest health station, which is these machines on the walls where you can get health. Okay. And if you're not careful, if you almost kill them and they run off, they will come back with full health, and now you have to kill them all over again.
That's annoying.
Yeah, so that's annoying. So what you can do is you can either destroy all the health machines in the area so they can't do that, or even better, you can hack them so that when they go there to be healed, they're actually poisoned instead.
Yeah.
And they just die there. So that's just a fun thing to do.
That's clever. I like that there's multiple ways to defeat a villain. Splicer. Did I miss you explaining that, or am I just not paying attention?
Genetic splicing.
Okay.
So these are the people who have done too much splicing, and now they've gone insane, and they just attack everybody around them.
Oh, okay. So they're called. That's the thing's called splicers. Excellent.
Yeah, splicers.
Okay.
Another fun mechanic in the game is that if you set one of these splicers on fire, they will run to the nearest body of water. There might be like a fountain nearby. Of course, they'll do that.
Can you put like gasoline in it?
No. Then what you can do is you can sap the water with electricity.
And
then they'll be electrified. Yeah, right. And
that's
electrocute them in the water.
Yeah.
Amazing creative gameplay.
Super cool.
So much fun. Yeah. So the fourth reason.
Very pensive. I'm very intrigued.
I know, right? I know. Now we're coming to the deep themes. The deep themes. Yeah.
Tasty. Yum.
Free will. Katie, do you believe this is nobody knows, right? But do you believe we have free will? What's your take on that?
I'm gonna say yes. I believe we have free will.
Mhm.
I'm scared you're gonna say stuff now to convince me otherwise, but I'm sticking with yes for now.
Yeah, I agree. It certainly feels like we do. You
Mm,
know, if I raise my hand now, who did that if not me? But of course, the big debate in philosophy is that in a purely deterministic universe, which we assume we live in, how can anything be free will if these are all just processes in your brain following their natural deterministic physical and chemical processes?
mhm.
My answer is we don't know, but we have to act as if we have free will because it certainly
Yeah.
feels like we do. However, in a computer game, you don't have free will.
Nope.
No, the game needs you to go from A to B. How you get there, you may decide, but you need to go there.
Yeah.
But the game wants to create the illusion of free will so that you feel like the character in the game is actually you're making their choices when you're really not. The game
Mhm.
wanted you to go here and kill that person all along.
Yeah, yeah.
And Bioshock gets around that in the coolest fucking way possible that I've ever seen. So here's what happens. The first thing that happens when you arrive in Rapture is that you get a walkie-talkie that you
Yeah.
carry around for the rest of the game. And on this radio, you're contacted by somebody called Atlas.
Uh-huh.
Remember that Ayn Rand's novel, Atlas
Atlas
Shrugged? Was
shrugged.
called?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
They're
here's
really not subtle with the references, are they?
not at all. This is not at all. Atlas says he needs your help and he will help you. You will help each other. His wife and children are missing. He needs you to help find them. And also, he's trying to help the city of Rapture because there's a war going on between Andrew Ryan and Frank Fontaine, the big gangster boss, right?
Yep.
So he wants to help you and gives you all of this advice.
I don't know how you survived that plane crash, but I've never been one to question Providence. I'm Atlas, and I aim to keep you alive. Careful now. Would you kindly lower that weapon for a minute? Sounds like that should about do it. Head on back to Fontaine Fisheries when you're ready, would you kindly?
He has a fantastic Irish accent. And he's
Nice.
like, here's an enemy. Would you kindly pick up your weapon and go fight that enemy? Would you kindly go explore this place? And so on and so on and so on.
Mm-mm-mm.
And then comes the big reveal. Because 2/3 of the way through the game, you've made it into Andrew Ryan's headquarters and you're going to confront him because he's just killed Atlas's wife and child.
Mm.
Yeah. So you're going to confront him. That's what Atlas, would you kindly go to Andrew Ryan's office and kill the bastard?
Yeah.
And you get there. And this is when you find out who you are because you're not just a random person. What they did was they harvested genetic material from Andrew Ryan. They cloned him. They force grew the clone to adulthood very, very quickly, implanted false memories of a fake childhood, and you're that clone.
What the fuck?
Yes.
Wait,
Yes.
what?
Yes.
Who cloned you? What? Wait,
So
so many questions.
yes. So this was done by a doctor called Su Chong, a Chinese researcher. But Frank Fontaine,
Mm-hmm.
he was behind the project. What they did was they implanted a behavioral control in you. So every time you hear the words "would you kindly,"
Yeah, you just do
you
it.
have to do it.
Crazy.
Yeah. Frank Fontaine sent you into the city, and it turns out that Atlas, who's been helping you all along, is Frank Fontaine, the gangster boss.
Sick. That's cool. That's cool.
And
That's cool.
all those, would you kindly go here? Would you kindly go there? Would you kindly go to Andrew Ryan's office and kill the bastard? That was him controlling you every step of the way. And that's how the game gets around this free will. Yeah, you may have in
Yeah.
real life in the game, you do not.
No, and also it's a really useful way of teaching you how to play the game as well, right?
Yes.
Because like that's another aspect of gameplay that always feels really artificial, like the moment where you have to learn how to play the game and you have to have someone teach you in some regard. And it has to be like the video game meta verse, like it's just popping up instructions at you. But I
Mhm.
like that they've characterized it and they put it in the form of this Atlas character. That's cool. That's a cool storytelling moment.
Yes. That reveal, I mean, it's Kaiser Soze
Yeah.
in The Usual Suspects. It's that level of unexpected. Nobody saw this coming. So cool. And an excellent meditation on free will versus determinism.
Hmm. Really interesting. That's a really interesting way of constructing a video game as well.
So cool. Then the final reason why I love this game is that it's also a great meditation on morality.
Mhm.
As I said, there's this substance atom that allows for these genetic modifications to happen, this splicing, okay? They harvest it from sea slugs on the bottom of the sea, but it's very valuable. There's not very much of it, and people are addicted to it. So once you've spliced, you want to splice again and again and again.
Dune's calling. It's asking for its sand back.
Splice or spice, right? Of course, the rapture becomes a very violent place and people start dying left and right. And those corpses are full of Adam. They want this substance back.
Oh, gross.
I know, right? So the solution they come up with in this free market anarcho-capitalist utopia is the little sisters and the big daddies.
Those little sisters, they carry Adam, the genetic material that keeps the wheels of rapture turning. Everybody wants it, everybody needs it. That's the big daddy. She gathers Adam, he keeps her safe.
There's more than one? I'm multiple?
Yeah, there are many little sisters. So little sisters are little orphan girls. They're, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years old, I'm gonna guess, in the game. They are captured and treated so that they can harvest Adam. So they will walk around Rapture with a syringe, like a huge syringe. They will find a dead person. They'll stick in the needle, suck out the Adam, and then they drink it, and it's processed in their bodies. And then the
What?
Adam can be harvested and reused and it's that valuable.
So, hang on. The little sisters are almost like a human processing plant in that regard then.
Yes.
Disgusting. Super cool.
Yep. So what then happens is, of course, that now these little girls are full of Adam. So then people start attacking them and killing them for the Adam.
Mm.
Yeah.
So then they need protection from the big dude.
Yes. So they invent the Big Daddy. And the Big Daddy is a person who's basically sewn into an old-timey diving suit with this drill for a hand, or some of them have guns or rocket launchers, that kind of thing.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, and then they're paired up. The little sisters are programmed to harvest the Adam, and the Big Daddies are programmed to protect the little sisters.
Mhm.
They go around in pairs to the dead bodies in Rapture, and there are a lot of dead bodies in Rapture, and
Yes.
harvest the Adam. And then what you need to do at several points throughout the game is that you need to kill the Big Daddy so that you can take the little sister. And you have a choice. You have two things you can do. You can kill the little sister yourself, and that will give you a huge amount of Adam that you can then use to upgrade yourself with new genetic abilities. Or you can free the little sister. That also gives you some Adam, but not very much.
Mm-mm.
Okay? But then you've freed her. So you're basically facing this moral choice.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, it's only a computer game.
But you still feel it, right?
I still feel I could never, ever kill one of them. In all of my playthroughs of the game, I've never once done it. I couldn't. I literally couldn't, because the game put
Interesting.
me in that situation where this was an actual moral choice I had to make.
Yeah.
So I chose the harder version of the game, where it takes longer to achieve the same genetic abilities.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do it. It's just a game, and I still couldn't do it.
2 questions. One, the Big Daddies, you can't see their faces, can you? They're like in a helmet.
They're in that old-timey diving helmet, yeah.
Dehumanize them, makes them easier to kill. Little sisters, I'm assuming you can see their faces?
Yes. Let me show you what they look like, because I have a picture.
Oh. Oh, she's terrifying. I like her.
Exactly. Glowing eyes and the syringe. It's super interesting how the game makes it real. Makes it real. And of course, it's a cheap trick to use little girls for this choice of morality, basically. But it works, and I could never, ever, ever do it, no matter how much pressure I was under in the game. So those were the 5 main reasons why I absolutely love this game. And I've played it 236 hours, 10 days straight, nonstop, or something like 6 work weeks of 40 hours a week. And I would like to go back to the question of, is this art? Roger Ebert said, no computer game could ever be art. What do you think? Is this art?
I maintain that video games are art. Video games are a new medium. I mean, new is, they've been around for fucking ages by this point, but they're the newest collective mainstream media option that people have access to. We consider film as art, right? Film is definitely art for us as a society, as a zeitgeist. The 2 things holding video games back, I think, personally. The first is that they're new. New things sometimes take a little bit longer. I think the second is that they are generally marketed to and associated with teenage boys, right? So teenage boys, really reliable demographic to market towards because they have disposable income, they're regular consumers. Once they like a thing, they like it for a very long time. They'll buy all the merch around it, blah, blah, blah. But also, like, video games when they first actually came out were marketed to all children, not just little boys, little girls as well. But then they realized they had to select a place to put the toy in the aisle, and toy stores were gendered at the time. And so instead of being able to have video games for everybody, they said, okay, we'll give to little boys. And I think that that was their big problem
Mm-hmm.
because film, TV shows, books are not necessarily gendered, right? I think the second that they made that choice, the second that they said, like, this is going to be the little boy thing and not the everybody thing, they
Yeah.
kind of like shot themselves in the foot in terms of being considered with wide stream appeal. However, I know plenty of women who play video games. I have played video games. I know plenty of men who play video games. I know children who play video games. I know old people, like grown-ups who play video games. Like, in my opinion, they are a universal medium and they are an amazing way to tell stories. And there are some really like beautiful games out there. Um, and for me, it's the misogyny associated around like girls don't play games,
Mm-hmm.
or that the type of games girls do play is like Tetris and Candy Crush, and they're not real video games. That for me annoys me, and I think that's
Yeah.
that narrative and also like the inbuilt issues within the industry as well are the things holding it back from being considered as like a universal art form.
Yeah. For me, is Bioshock Art? Of course, it fucking is. It's so stupid to claim that it's not. There's the beautiful design, the architecture itself. If that building had existed in real life, it would be art. It would be an architectural masterpiece. Now it exists in the video game. It's the same building, just not
Mhm.
in real life. Still art. I don't care.
Yeah.
And also for me, the deciding argument is the story. If
Mhm.
this story had been written as a novel with all of the themes, all of the complexities, all of the great characters, it would be a piece of art.
Yeah.
And the fact that the same story exists in the medium of a video game does not make it any less art.
And I also think the medium of the video game makes it better. Like, there's that level of interaction. That whole plot about free will versus not free will
Hmm.
within the form of the video game has more meaning, is deeper, is more interesting of a discussion. And I think this is a really great example of how the medium is the message. The
Yes.
game, the fact that this story was told in the form of a video game makes it a deeper story. And yeah, for sure, it's fucking art.
Of
Hells yeah.
course it is. So here's this, I don't know this. I'm going to throw the question out there. Why are some people so invested in making sure that something is not considered as art?
Snobbery?
Snobbery? Yeah.
I'm not sure. But
I
like I think this is going to be going away soon because I think particularly with the pandemic, video games had a huge upsurge in people playing them because everyone's stuck at home. What you're going to do? Play video games.
Hmm.
Like look at Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing had a huge boom at the beginning of the pandemic because everyone was like, I can't go out, so I'll go to my island.
Hmm.
Um, and I think because of that, we're going to start seeing the acceptance of video games and video game culture as part of the mainstream soon. That's my hope, at least.
Yeah. For me, I think it is snobbery, it is arrogance, but it's also conservatism, right?
Mm,
You're used to thinking that certain things are art, and then something new comes along, you don't like it. And if you were to acknowledge it as art, you would give it some kind of validity.
yeah.
You would give it relevance in society. And some people just don't want that. They want art to stay the way art is.
Mhm.
They want to put limits on what art is and is not. And I think that sucks.
And that's just such a fucking boring way to look at the world.
Yeah.
I think that is what it like having your mind closed off to new experiences because they're new and change is scary is like, aw, you just don't like having fun, do you? Aw,
Yes.
blaz.
And you
Enjoy
don't
your
want
boring landscapes.
other people to have fun.
No.
No.
You've chosen a life of boredom and you want to keep it for everyone.
Exactly. Oh, one of my favorite artworks is Merde d'artiste. Have you heard about that?
No, I haven't.
It's from 1961, so same time as Rapture. It's by the Italian artist Piero Manzoni, and he created 90 little tin cans and put his own shit in them.
What the fuck?
Yeah, put a label on it in Italian, English, French, and German, stating artist's shit, contents 30 grams net, freshly preserved, produced, and tinned in May 1961. And then he sold them.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Only one slight problem. He actually did shit in them, and some of the cans, the contents fermented, created an overpressure inside the can, so they exploded later on.
Lovely.
Lovely, right?
I like that he just gave literally a shit bomb
Exactly,
to a
exactly,
museum or
exactly.
whatever.
That's the dynamic artwork right there. I
Yeah.
like it.
I bet you these conservative buttheads wouldn't think that drag is art either.
Oh, no, no. I mean, that's the thing. Anything they don't like
It's not
is not
art.
art. I think
Yeah.
that's their main purpose. And I think for a lot of these people, the main purpose is to keep society the way it is or bring it back to the way it was.
Boring.
I know, right? I know.
Yep.
Alrighty. That was my. Of course, it's art. Of course, it's art. It's so good. It has to be art, and that's why I love Bioshock so much.
I think that's a great reason to love Bioshock.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Alex, if somebody wanted to learn more about Bioshock, I'm assuming Steam is the place to go to download it, but where else should they be going? Where else should they be looking?
Yes, play the game if you're into games at all, and even if you're not, because it's that good. In the show notes, we are going to include links to some really cool videos and articles about the game, like the architects reacting to the design and architecture. There's some videos on the philosophy and the critique of anarcho-capitalism in Bioshock, and some great videos on the design of the game itself, the level design, which is also phenomenally good. So, dear listener, what do you think about Bioshock? Have you played it? If you've not played it, tell me, what genetic ability would you like the most? Fire, electricity, ice, or, hey, bees? Who knows, right?
Bees?
Bees? What would be your favorite ability? Did we leave out something awesome about it? Is there something you want to add? Do you have any questions about it? Go on our website at electricenthusiasm.com or our Instagram at electricenthusiasm and ask any questions you might have. We'll be happy to answer them.
Cool.
Yeah.
Moment of meta?
Yeah.
Okay. In this moment of meta, I wanted to continue our conversation from the Chinese New Year episode, where you were trying to convince a very skeptical Sarah and I to have hope for the future.
I noticed the skepticism. That was a tough sell.
That's a really tough sell. But I want to have hope. I want to be hopeful. And so I did some research because this conversation kept like annoying me. It was like in the back of my skull, you put a little worm just right here. And it's like it's been poking me, being like, what about this? Well, what about that? What about this? So the thing that I did was I wanted to understand how we as a global population have done good shit. What have we done that's great? And I specifically looked into the environmental concern that was such a huge deal when I was a kid that I remember learning a lot about it. I remember learning about it in school, and I don't really hear about it much anymore. So I was like, what's happening with the hole in the ozone layer?
Yes, that's a great example.
It's a great example. So, in case you are unaware, scientists discovered a massive hole over the Antarctica in the ozone in 1985. The ozone is like a protective layer over the Earth, and it absorbs dangerous UV radiation from space. Bad rays from space are coming for us, and it's not good, and we get a little shield, and it keeps us safe. Unfortunately, there is a lot of chemicals that we release when we produce things or when we use stuff like hairspray called chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs, and there's other chemicals as well, but CFCs were like the main one that was discovered that damage the ozone layer and cause holes in it. There was a massive public health cry because people were very worried about the increasing intensity of UV radiation, increasing the chance of skin cancer, cataracts, could significantly damage global crops and the marine food chain, as a little bit of background. And the thing that gave me hope, and the thing that continues to give me hope, are the two multilateral environmental agreements that were signed: the Vienna Convention for the Protection of the Ozone Layer and the Montreal Protocol on Substances that Deplete the Ozone Layer. They were signed between 1985 and 1987, respectively, and entered into force in the 1st of January 1989. And because of those actions, Climate projections indicate that the ozone layer will return to 1980 levels soon, really soon, like in 30 years, 30 to 40 years, which is super fucking cool.
Yeah.
It's so reassuring. We saw the problem when we were like, ha, fuck, it's real not good, real bad. And then we actually did something about it. It's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And due to its widespread implementation, it has been hailed as the example of successful international cooperation. It was the first universally ratified treaties in the United Nations history. Kofi Annan has said that it is perhaps the single most successful international agreement to date has been the Montreal Protocol. And that gives me so much hope. So
Yes.
much hope. It is possible. Now, the things that kind of were going in favor for the ozone layer, it was immediate. It felt really fucking real. It felt like something that you could clearly see the effects of, and it felt like a crisis. As humans, we are much better at dealing at something where we can see the immediate cause and effect. Global warming is like a slow burn. This is like a wildfire. And so that's something that we are better at as dealing with as a community. But we were able to stop the production of harmful CFC chemicals and find alternatives.
Yeah.
Granted, not all the alternatives are perfect, and some of them also have to be banned. But progress isn't linear. We're not expecting perfection.
No, just progress.
Just progress. There is evidence to suggest that we are actually doing better and that things are getting better slowly, but they are getting better. We are capable of change, guys.
We are. That's a great example. Want to hear my favorite example?
Yes, please.
Guinea worm.
Guinea worm. Tell me more.
Guinea worm. Guinea worm is a frightening disease. It's a parasite. It is a debilitating disease. It typically won't kill you. You go bathe in water where the parasite exists. It'll drill into your bloodstream through your skin.
Yeah.
It'll grow to be 1 or 2 meters long.
Gross.
Yeah, then it'll poke out through the skin, which is intensely painful and itchy. And then you go to get water to cool down, and then it spreads to that water again. This is the bad part. Once it's in your body, the only way to get it out is to, once it's poked through the skin, is to wind it on a pencil and slowly pull it out like a centimeter at a time. Yeah.
What?
Super painful.
So gross.
Yeah.
This is a gross episode.
This is a really gross episode. Yeah. There is no medicine to cure guinea worm. There's no vaccine to prevent it. The only way to stop it is to prevent the spread. So through campaigns on human behavior, don't go to water where this is present. If you have the worm, don't go rinse it in water, because then you'll spread it to other people. In 1986, they estimated there were 3.5 million cases. In 2021, there were 14.
Wow, that's amazing.
14 cases of guinea worm. The disease has been nearly eradicated. That is amazing. Do you hear that? Do you hear that on the news ever? No, you fucking don't. Because bad news sells better and is more immediate. We have to go digging for these good examples, but they are out there, and there are so many of them. The world is getting better and better and better in so many ways, and that's not happening on its own. It's happening through a concerted effort, through international collaboration, through treaties like the one on the ozone layer, through smart people finding good solutions to serious problems. The world is getting better and better and better. And I would never tell anybody how to feel. And if somebody feels bad about the future, that's perfectly okay. That's perfectly valid. But if you wanted to feel good about the future, if you wanted to balance your views a little bit, there are, like you're saying, there are very, very good reasons to be optimistic about the future. That's a good thing for two reasons. First of all, it feels better to be hopeful.
What? Lies and slander.
Right? And the other reason is that I think that if we believe that we can make the future better, we will be more effective at making the future better. If we're like, we're going to hell, it's all fucked anyway, I could stay home and watch YouTube video game walkthroughs all day instead of actually working to make the world better, right?
Yeah.
That's why I think we need that. And I think there are powerful, powerful forces conspiring against this feeling of hope. In that episode, I mentioned Hans Rosling, the Swedish statistician, who basically made a career out of this, out of finding the highlights. And we linked to his TED Talk there.
Yes. Put it in this one as well. Just put it there as well.
Exactly. For this episode, I'm going to also link to his appearance on Danish media. So he went on the Danish news. basically with this message, the world is getting better, and he has all of these examples, and his point is that does not make the news. And the journalist pushes back, and he's like, well, we're the news, we have to report the bad stuff. And he says, but that paints a wrong picture of the world.
Yeah.
The best moment. The journalist asks him, so how do you get a correct picture of the world? And he just says, well, you can't use the media.
Yeah. No, definitely not. Basically, hey, journalist guy, you're the problem here, dude.
And he was very kind about it, and very Swedish, and very like very granddad and professionally, but the message was very clear. You guys are fucking this up.
Yeah. One thing that I encourage all of our listeners to do, if you're like me, you're a skeptical millennial and you have a lot of feelings about this conversation, try and find one of these stories for yourself.
Mhm.
Like, you could probably find a local story even to your area. Maybe find like a particular scientific discovery that's happening in your area that's leading to the world being a better place, or maybe like an ecological project that's providing a new sustainable habitat futures. Like, there are these stories out there, and unfortunately, the media is not going to bring them to your doorstep.
No.
So, if you are feeling a little skeptical, a little grumpy, a little bit like me last week, I recommend trying to find some of these stories for yourself, because I think that's the thing that helped me the most. Was like, I found that story and I was like, haha, it's less shit. It's not fully not shit, but it's less shit. And that's where we're
Yes.
going. I'm going for progress. I'm like, there's still a hole in our ozone layer, but it's not as terrible as it used to be.
And I think that can make you a little bit more enthusiastic about the future,
Mm-hmm.
which we need.
So this is how you can find your enthusiasm for the future. Top tips. Yay!
What a great tip. Love it.
Yeah. Because, man, I was such a grumpy butt last week.
And that's perfectly okay. Nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that. But yeah, seriously, you need,
Uh,
I'm going to send you the link to Hans Rosling's TED Talk. You need to watch it. It's amazing. I'm going to send it to you right away.
Okay.
Right.
If a listener enjoyed this episode, where would you send them next?
I think after this gruesome talk of, little girls sucking Adam out of corpses and processing it in their bodies, maybe we need some hope. Let's do some hope punk. The Avatar episode. Avatar: The Last Airbender is such a great show,
Yes.
and ultimately something that is positive, hopeful, happy, fun, and pretty much the opposite genre of Bioshock. Yeah, go listen to that, because that was great.
Is Bioshock hope punk?
Not at all. It was always the opposite genre was grimdark.
Yes.
This is grimdark ultra plus.
And then on that regard, if we're going hope punk, let's also go Wayfarer series.
Yeah.
Maybe you just finished playing Bioshock because we told you to, and you're just like, guys, why'd you do that to me? It's okay. We have the solution. We have the medication to make it feel better. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Dear listener, if you like this episode, please share the podcast. Remember to subscribe in whatever podcast program you are using. But also tell your friends. Maybe they'll like it. Maybe they will also learn about the world of Bioshock and be incredibly depressed and grossed out and scared. If that's how you roll, go wild.
Go wild. Have fun. You do you.
We hope you enjoyed sharing some of our enthusiasms in this episode. Please visit our website, electricenthusiasm.com, or find us on Instagram @electricenthusiasm to discover more episodes or to leave a comment.
And now, dear listener, bees? Bees? Why bees, though? Why is it bees?
I don't know.